Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana, not just the hot off the press co-op game that is beloved. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for coming on this journey with us. Okay, I am leaving for Atlanta in like 5 hours.
I know.
And it's a crazy weekend. We had to get an episode in for Monday though, so it's a weird time because it's like you want to talk about Atlanta, but it hasn't happened by the time we can record.
Yes, exactly.
But I think we still have, that being said, I think we have a fun one. We picked 5 notable cards each from the set with a couple honorable mentions, and we're going to talk through them. You know, some of them are probably very well known, some of them maybe not. You know, I think we have a couple comments that we'll make about the meta and how it's surfacing, and kind of some of our thoughts on that so far. Doing a meta report deep dive next week, since we will have had time, or after, I think I've said this, after Chicago, once we've had time to like really understand where everybody's head's at and what's working and what's not. While it's starting to shape up, we don't know that for sure yet, so we will get there. So yeah, just kind of talking about a couple notable cards, you know, kind of what we're excited about with this set after playing it for a few weeks, and go from there. So yeah.
We're excited, man. And, I mean, right now, it's such an exciting time at the beginning of every set, right? It's just setting up, like, just coming up with, like, what's going to be the meta, what's going to be the norms. Like,
I think it's a little different this time. I think it's what's going to counter Ruby Sapphire, what's going to counter Green Steel.
Sure, that's fair.
But yeah, I think that there's still a lot of options. I think the difference here between like set 2 Ruby Amethyst is that there are plenty of cards out there now that have the potential to do a lot of disruption, whereas in like set 2, there was half the cards that we have now.
Exactly.
There wasn't locations. There wasn't a lot of the other stuff that has come about to build with. So I think that there are potentials. And we'll definitely, like I said, after Chicago, I think we'll definitely see like what the top 32 look like and see if it's diverse or not. But anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. As always, everyone, thanks for the support. You can find us across all of our different channels. Linked below, and you can also, if you're wanting to support the channel or get cards for Chicago, you can do so with our TCG Player affiliate link. It is by far the best way to support the podcast, and we really appreciate everybody that uses that. Okay, card of the week.
All right, we don't talk about Bruno today.
And we didn't talk about this before you said that's the one you wanted to do, and it's very fitting, and I have a story to back this one up. So yeah, let's talk about Bruno.
So 5-cost Inkable Song and Emerald.
Wait, hold on. You're going to say, don't talk about Bruno, and then I'm going to have the incredible joke of saying, okay, let's talk about Bruno, and you're just going to not even acknowledge that? That was incredible.
We're not talking about Bruno specifically. We're talking about the song we don't
I'm talking about, but I said, let's talk about Bruno. That's the point.
But we're talking about this. But we're not talking about...
Oh, fine.
See, your logic.
Fine. Okay, that one blew over. I thought that would be hilarious, and it apparently didn't catch. So hopefully somebody listening enjoyed that one.
I liked it.
Okay, well, let's not talk about Bruno then. Continue.
Okay, yeah. See, I like that one. 5-cost Inkable Song and Emerald. Return chosen character to their player's hand. Then that player discards a card at random.
Yeah. So it's insane.
So I think one of the first things you think of when you think of this, it's like, okay, Mother Knows Best, Sudden Chill.
Plus Sudden Chill, yeah. And it's inkable. Right? So, and it's those costs combined. So it'd be 3-5 or 3-2, so 5. Yep.
It is inkable, like you said. There's not a lot of like. At first, I was like 5 costs is a little too high, but if you think about it, it's not really like. I would say the biggest knock against it would be that Ursula can't sing it. That would be the biggest knock.
I don't even think that's a knock, because I think it plays perfectly well into the curve. You know, if you're like turn 1 Merfolk, turn 2 like Bucky is, you know, coming back big time here. Turn 3, you play Prince John and then discard a card, you know, with Sudden Chill or whatever, and then you're starting to draw off, or you know, to deplete their resources. By the time they're at turn 5, they might not have any cards anymore, and then whatever you're returning to the hand is auto discarded then. And so like I don't think you want a 2 cost, because it would be way overpowered at 2. So I guess like sure, if it was at 2, whatever, but I think 5's the perfect place for it. I think it fits on perfectly to the curve. At least that's my thoughts.
You're not wrong. Especially if you're playing like the Bucky version of Green Steel, you know, you've got got a lot of those 5-cost shift targets around turn 3, so you can...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going back to Bucky with Diablo on turn 3, the new Floodborn Aladdin and Steel on turn 3. Then you've obviously got like the Jafar on turn 4, or you can shift Robin Hood. You've obviously got
Shift Pegasus, Shift Robin Hood.
Shift Pegasus, Shift Robin Hood. Still got Beast Tragic Hero. Like to your point, there's a ton of those 5 costs that are in that slot to sing it. I've also seen it a lot in Amber Emerald, which obviously allows Ariel to find it and sing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so here's my story. I went to League on Wednesday this week at a new store, and so it was a lot of the players that are in the community that sometimes we see at all the tournaments, but don't necessarily see on like a weekly basis. And so it's fun to reconnect with some of those guys, especially since a lot of them are going to Atlanta. I was still playing Chapter 3, trying to prepare for Atlanta, but a couple people were playing Chapter 4, and I had this used against me 4 times across one match. Wow. And it is not fun. So
how does the at random work?
The way that we did it was like I just basically put my cards face down and he rolled the dice, and then it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And so you go through and then you pick whatever one it was. Okay. And I will say he hit Tamatoa every time.
Every time?
Yeah.
All 4 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think it was the second time he played it perfectly, and like I didn't have anything in my hand, and he bounced at Tamatoa. So like that one doesn't quite count because he obviously played into it. But the other 2 times, I think I had a minimum of 3 cards, and I know I had 4 cards on one of them, and he just like bounced it and then wiped it. And so
do you shuffle as the player with the hand?
No, because I mean it's at I did a couple of I think I did 2 of the times, the last 2 times, but again I don't think it matters because like if I hold my cards like this, like you don't know what's in my hand, and if I just put it in there, like I have like me not shuffling the cards doesn't have any impact on like what you roll to decide. I mean maybe I guess if the route that you were taking to decide was like me shuffling the cards and you touching one, then yeah, you should probably shuffle your hand. But the method that we were using on him rolling a dice and like counting that amount of cards out, like that doesn't, necessarily mean that you need to do that. But anyways, so yes, I firsthand saw that We Don't Talk About Bruno was very not fun to play around.
I mean, I would say for me, it's probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite songs from this set, I think.
I think it probably is, and this one didn't make my top 5 just because I think a lot of people are talking about Bruno.
All right, that was good. That was good.
But yeah, it's incredibly powerful. I mean, the 5-cost Inkable makes it, I think, a staple, in a lot of these decks. So yeah, I love the card. I think it's fantastic. I think it'll continue to see a ton of play. I think it fits perfectly into the discard archetype, obviously, because if you are getting their hand really low and then you're able to sing it, then that really allows you to target what you want to remove and then remove it from their hand as well, which you don't maybe necessarily always have the opportunity to do, but nonetheless, like you can still have that disruption. So yeah, love the card. Perfect example to bring up today too, given the story that I had on Wednesday this week on getting completely owned by it. But yes. Love the card for sure.
I think like you said, it's a new staple for Emerald. I would assume.
We'll definitely see in the long term, but I think it fits a lot of the play styles that are currently in Emerald, so it makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, news. What's on our mind? League match recap. Again, this is Atlanta day tomorrow, and so that's totally what's on my mind. I mean.
Let's get some thoughts and feelings about it.
I don't know. It's a very weird one. Like I'm a whole lot more calm than I am for like the set championships. I think the expectations are just kind of let's see how it goes. I don't really have any. 3% of players are making top cut. I don't know if you heard that stat or not. Yes. 3%. So. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a ton of luck on your side. I mean, I think I said last week I'm bringing Ruby Sapphire. Did a lot of research onto like what the play rates are on different decks and like how my comfort level into a lot of these matchups and like what I feel comfortable going second on and trying to win the on the drop games. And yeah, Ruby Sapphire seemed like the best bet for me. I know it's a really popular one out there too, and so that is going to be a pretty strong one. Being the Steel Song player for a lot of the set championships, I didn't want to see 4 Ruby Sapphire matches out of my 9 rounds and with Steel Song and know that I'm not going to have or I know that I'm going to have an uphill battle into those. I'm especially needing to win both games. So yeah, Ruby Sapphire, super excited about it. I think it's going to be a great time. This is my first big event like this, so it's exciting.
I would say just take it all in. Enjoy it. This is the first big event of its kind for Lorcana.
That too is really special. Just to be able to go do that.
To the first one, yeah. Speaking of, I guess, kind of challenge.
I know. I'm shocked you didn't say that initially, but yeah. So tickets for Dallas went on sale yesterday
Fort
as of
Worth,
recording.
Technically.
Yeah, we live close to Dallas. It's technically Fort Worth, but everybody where we're from just calls like that whole area Dallas.
Yeah.
So tickets for Fort Worth went on sale yesterday, and like our whole crew got them. So
the entire inner circle.
It didn't sell out near as fast. So to me, that says
not.
it's definitely going to be a 2K person tournament, which I think is exciting that it's going to be that big again. But also exciting, obviously, that we were all able to get tickets and that they did seem to work out a lot of the kinks because, I kind of watched it after we were able to get it, and like 30 minutes later, tickets were still available. I don't know if they're still available as of now, but so they definitely seem to have worked out a lot of the problems from the Atlanta release when that initially happened, and expanding the player count definitely seems to have helped. So excited on the future of the challenges as well, because now we're all going to another one.
I know, that should be a ton of fun. We're excited about it. That'll be my first one, because I won't be going to any of the others. So Fort Worth will be my only experience with the challenge.
Yeah, I guess the last point on the challenge is I think there are 2, 4, 6, probably 10 people locally that are going. Maybe 12 people locally that are going. Yeah, I bet like 12-ish that locally that are going to the challenge. If I get paired up against one of these guys, like rounds 1 or 2, like what is the luck on that? Like I just don't want to see anybody that I know.
That's completely fair.
Like it's not like set championships where you and I are playing and it's a 1 in 10 chance that we get matched up against each other and across like 5 rounds. That makes it a really good possibility that happens. Like there's 1,800 people. There's too many to begin with. Like just don't let me see anybody I know. Just like let's not have to deal with that stress added on top of everything else going on.
No, we'll just put you up against Zach Bivens instead.
No, let's not wish that. Let's not let's not throw that energy out.
Honestly, that'd be cool just for the experience. It'd be like,
afterwards, I would definitely be like, all right, where did I go wrong? Like, what could I have done better? And hopefully, whoever it is that I get clobbered by is gracious enough to give me some tips.
Yeah.
But no, if that happens, like, please be round like 4, 5, or 6 where I've gotten a couple wins under my belt. Where I'm not like, oh God, I'm gonna get off to a horrible start now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, that's obviously what's on our minds. Challenge. Atlanta challenge, got tickets for Fort Worth challenge, so super exciting for the challenge stuff all around.
It has to be what's on the mind of everyone, right? I would assume. Especially if you're going to one.
Even if you're not playing, again, I think I've said this a few times, like if you're listening to the podcast, I would imagine you're pretty into the community, and so you have to be pretty ears on to like what's going on. Even if you're not going, you have to be pretty ingrained into. I think they're streaming it too. Like yes. I think they're so I know.
I know the one in Europe they're streaming.
Yeah, and I know they're streaming the second day of Atlanta for sure too. But yeah, so like maybe one of my matches somehow randomly gets picked for the stream, and that really puts the pressure on to not make any dumb mistakes.
I know that kind of suck. No,
I don't know. It would be kind of cool, but anyways, yeah. So that's what's on our mind. That's what's going on this week. Obviously, like I said, we'll give a recap of how things go when we get back. But yeah, Disney Lorcana Challenge, it's officially underway, and I technically like early registration starts in like 5 hours. So we're right on the cusp, and I know the Europe one is already started. So technically, as of we're recording this, the challenge has started.
Wow.
Which is a new era for the Lorcana community.
That's awesome.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Like we said, we kind of just picked 5 of our like favorite cards. No real like category behind this. I think they're all more or less like, of the better cards that we've seen thus far in the meta. But we just wanted to find a few of the cards out there and talk about them and help, maybe give people new perspectives on some of these things that are starting to shape out, and maybe have some hidden gems out there, and just have a good old new set 4 Ursula's Return conversation. So why don't you kick us off?
So are we doing honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my first honorable mention would be Scuttle.
Yeah, Scuttle's a good one for
Scuttle,
sure.
expert on humans, 2 cost inkable, 1 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1. The ability is Let Me See. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal an item card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order.
So he's aerial for items, which in the Ruby Sapphire Steel mirror matches, finding a dime first is usually a recipe for success, and so Scuttle is
I would
very important for
assume
that.
when you upgrade your Ruby Sapphire to set 4, this would be one of the first cards you upgrade.
In there, yeah, for sure. Okay. Give me 2 more honorable mentions.
We have... Now this one is not one that is seen play in the early meta, but it is one that I'm expecting to see. It's Hey Hey from set 4.
I've seen some Hey Hey. The Emerald Hey Hey.
Yeah, so
I've seen a little bit less Hey Hey than I thought I would, but I've definitely seen some Hey Hey. He's the one, the 3 cost inkable bumbling rooster that quests for 2 and says when you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their inkwell, then you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exert. So he helps you ramp a little bit, which is cool.
If you're going second, actually, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, which is definitely helps out that play draw. Okay, one more honorable mention, and then we'll get into the...
Well, I don't have to talk about it much. We don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that before we started, too. Yeah, so we knew that was going to be an important one, so we didn't want to rehash that one. So, but yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. It's obviously insane. We already kind of touched on that, so no need to hash that one back out. But yeah, I think, for me, it's still very... there's a lot of decks that are being pushed to the top, and there hasn't been a ton of we're starting to try to find the counters to it, right?
Yes.
And so
exactly.
I think as far as honorable mentions go for me, I think the Ursula, Eric's Bride, and Amber, seeing a little bit of play depending on the list. It doesn't fit into the heroes meta, and so it's starting to fade out a little bit. But I think it's one of those that demands a response very, very quickly.
Just mention the ability real quick.
Yeah, sorry. So Vanessa's design is whenever this character quests, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of their choice. So it's basically a bare necessities every time you quest. So again, if you're playing an item deck, or you're playing a song deck, or you're playing,
I feel like that's very good against Emerald Steel too.
Yeah, I mean they're if you have your Ursula that you're trying to double sing stuff, and all the stuff that you're trying to double sing continuously gets taken out of your hand, then
by Ursula.
Yeah, Vanessa, but yes, Ursula. So yeah, that's one. Second one is the Emerald 5 cost inkable Cricky, the Lucky Cricket. Quests for 3, which is insane. You expect that from Emerald, but his ability is when you play this character, all your other characters get +3 strength this turn.
He has a 3/4 stat line as well, so not bad.
So I think the ability is just really helpful to help clear board. I know a lot of Emerald cards are understated from the strengths perspective, especially in the Emerald Amber world that we're starting to see. You can definitely be under strength statted, and so if you're behind and you need some help, that will definitely help you get across the finish line. And then for my last one, I'm doing the Floodborn Aladdin and Steel. For the same reason, I'm doing the Ursula one, the Brave Rescuer. He has his ability that says whenever this character quests, you may banish chosen item.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Same thing. It demands a response. If you're playing Ruby Sapphire, if you're playing Sapphire Steel, or even some of these Steel Song decks, are still running lanterns and things like that. That you kind of have to answer this, because you can't just have your entire board wiped out or your entire item pool wiped out that give you all those edges over your opponent. And so 3/3 stat line, only quests for 1, but he's being played a lot in the Emerald decks from what I've seen. And so he's a Floodborn on 3 with Bucky, again, seeing a lot of resurgence because there are a lot of cool 3-cost Floodborns that allow, you don't even have to shift on 3 to get that effect.
Yeah, I think it's worth
Bucky.
saying that, like, Ursula and Aladdin, Vanessa Ursula, you're not shifting. Like, you're just playing.
you're just trying to play it out because I think there's still potential. Like, there could be a need to do it because you can obviously play it for free, and so you can really kind of like turbo ramp your board. But yeah, those would be my honorable mentions. Okay, so honorable mentions done. We'll go back and forth here from here, and continue. Yeah, I think our power just flipped, but we're on a laptop, so we should be okay. So it's definitely storming where we're at right now while we're filming this. But yes, we should be good. It still looks fine. Okay, so your first card.
All right, so first one I'm going to talk about today is one that is, I think, worth talking about because it's the most expensive card in the market right now. It's Diablo.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely...
So I'll bring it up before we get into too much detail here, but it's a 3-cost, uninkable, 2-strength, 2-willpower, Floodborn.
Quest for 1.
Quest for 1, and it's when this character is exerted?
During each opponent's turn, whenever they draw a card while this character is exerted, you may draw a card. And he's evasive.
Yes, exactly. So
which is a very critical tidbit of information, which I think if you're following along this closely, you've probably heard of Diablo. But
yes.
He is probably demands an answer even more than Sad Beast. Like,
I think he's 100% he does because he's drawing more than Sad Beast would.
Yeah, because he's definitely getting you 1
and earlier.
Yeah, it's earlier and more often because if your opponent draws 2 cards, you draw 2 cards. Whereas Sad Beast is just drawing 1 extra per turn. I had this played against me once again on Wednesday as well, and yeah, I mean, I was doing my whole Hiram popsicle thing, and my opponent was just sitting here, just drawing cards the whole time. Which, yeah, so I mean, I understand why it's the most expensive. I still think it is a little overhyped right now because I think if it does run rampant, then people just start playing lots of strengths and storms and smashes and you name it, all of your favorite steel removal stuff. With a 2/2 stat line, it's easy to get off the board. So,
but I think it's probably like the poster child for this needs to be removed fast as possible.
Yeah, it's the biggest pest, or it's a very big pest. You gotta get rid of it for sure. Yeah, so I completely agree. Obviously, it's one of the poster cards of the set too. So
absolutely.
Okay, I'm kind of just running down the inks here. I tried to get just a very wide range of cards to just talk about everybody's favorite archetype. And so the first one is Gaston, Despicable Dealer, the 3-cost uninkable and Amber that kind of turbo ramps for the Amber, Mufasa / Amber Ruby decks that we're seeing these days. And so his ability is Dubious Recruitment, and it's exert to pay 2 ink less for the next character you play this turn. So that gets your Medusas, your Tremaines, all those fun 6-cost removals out on turn 4, which is crazy.
I mean, so obviously we have a similar card to this already in Doc, but obviously the stats are a little changed. It's uninkable.
4 strength is very tough to remove on turn 3. Or 4 willpower, yeah. 4 willpower is very tough to remove on turn 3 or 4.
For sure. I mean, all we have an answer for right now would be Brawl at the moment. That's like or Icebox Sisu.
Or the Ruby Gaston. I've seen him start to come back up because he's kind of immune to a lot of the strength manipulation shenanigans that have been brought to the table.
Sure.
But yeah, for the most part, he's just not getting removed that fast. And I will be the first to admit this is a lot better than I thought it would be.
No, I think
it's really hard to it's really hard to like talk about the impact that those 2 ink can have, because even if you only get it off once, you play it once, you do some board clearing, and then he's most likely safe again. And so then you can do it again, and then it's just you're in this cycle of playing much bigger and badder characters than your opponent's able to.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I mean, in a world where you have him and a baby Sisu on board, and you shift the Sisu for 6, then you've got him out there. You clear the whole board. Bada bing, bada boom, game over. Pretty much from that point on. So Gaston, Despicable Dealer. I will again admit that he is a lot better than I initially thought. I think in our in our inner circle conversations, you said that he'd be good, and I said, I don't think so. So I'm admitting my fault on that one. All right.
Speaking of Sisu empowered sibling in Ruby, 8 cost, uninkable, 5 strength, 4 willpower, shift 6, 3 lore, and then ability. I got this. When you play this character, banish all opposing characters with 2 strength or less.
Oh, so you're just going for the home runs here.
When you sent this to me, like, hey, come with the top 5 cards, I'm like, okay, best cards in the set. Yeah. That's what I envisioned.
This one I was very unsure of. I thought it had a lot of potential, and then the ice block shenanigans came out, and it's insane. So for those not aware, the ice block, which I guess we probably shouldn't dig too much into the ice block. We'll get to that one in a little bit. But yeah, so if you just think about like on the surface, the amount of things that get removed with 2 strength or less, basically everything in Emerald, like basically everything in Emerald. That is Merfolk, Flynn, Ursula, Friar-Tuck, John, Bucky.
Go on and on.
Yeah, obviously there are like a few bigger cards, like the big Robin Hood from Chapter 3, that Quest for 4 that a lot of people were playing. Mm-hmm. You can get into a few of the bigger bodies, like Pegasus from the new set, the shifted version, or the Floodborn version does not get taken away. He's seeing a lot of play. Diablo gets taken away. So basically everything in Emerald gets taken away. Basically everything in Amber gets taken away. All of the important Sapphire cards, Belle, Hiram, Baby Sisu's Ruby, that's Ruby Sapphire. But anyway, I go on and on. The point is, there are a ton of cards that get taken out with 2 strength or less. Like it's an obnoxious amount of cards. And so, yeah, you don't think it sounds that powerful, but the real power comes into play that you can one-sided be prepared. Your opponent that's playing an aggro deck that then doesn't have the ability to rip that from your hand because it's not a song either. So insane card. Definitely one of the top 2 in the set, bar none. There's not much else you can say besides if you don't know about Sisu, you will very shortly.
Absolutely.
Okay. I kind of stole the conversation. What do you want to say about Sisu?
No,
it's just
took
insane,
the words out of
right?
my mouth.
Yeah, it's just insane, right? Okay. My second one is Belle Accomplished Mystic. So this is kind of like on the fringe. This isn't a very insane card, but I'm really hoping it does. I don't feel like Amethyst got a lot of tools this set. This is the biggest one that they did get, and I don't feel like it's right up the super competitive alleyway yet. That being said, it could be a very fun local type,
absolutely
league deck to play. So Belle Accomplished Mystic is a shift 3, 5 cost inkable, 4/4 stat line. It says when you play this character, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So you could even, so chosen character to chosen opposing character means you can move them around on your opponent's side too. If you have something that has 3 damage on it that has more than 3 strength, you can move it off of that onto something that has 3 strength or less that then auto kills it, and then take out that, the big body that you took off the damage from some other way. You can obviously heal your characters and move the damage to the other side. So I think, with all of the Ruby self-damaged cards that came out, I thought there was a lot of potential for this. I still think there's a lot of potential for this. It's just, not the top end of the spectrum here. And so this would be a really fun one that I would like to play. Given the, in a less competitive setting, this would be a lot of fun to manipulate the damage and really take people off guard and, challenge into somebody, banish a character, have damage on yourself, move it off of yourself to banish somebody else. I think there's just a lot of cool tactics that you could play around to make this work.
No, honestly, when you read this card, when I first read it, it's honestly probably one of my, favorite cards from this set. Just as a personal choice.
Yeah, from a raw, just ability standpoint, I think I would actually agree with that too.
Obviously, it's not, like you said, not seeing much play, but I don't know, the art helps. The art's
art
amazing.
It's definitely one of my favorite arts of the set too, and I definitely think there's a world where this gets play. Maybe not this set, but at some point, people are going to look back on this and be like, I need to figure that one out.
I mean, I could
it's
even say
insane.
later this set maybe, too.
I think there definitely is potential this set, too, but I definitely think in the future this will get revisited if it doesn't happen this set. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Bell, Accomplished Mystic, if you want to do some damage moving shenanigans, this is the engine that makes that happen. Yeah, that is my second card.
All right, well, like you said, I am going after all the big ones here. So we got Mulan Elite Archer.
Oh, okay, so we're sticking with Ruby, too.
In Ruby, 6 cost, Inkable, 2 strength, 6 willpower, shift for 5, quest for 2, 2 abilities. First one, straight shooter. When you play this character, if you use shift to play her, she gets plus 3 strength this turn. Second ability, triple shot. During her turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, deal the same amount of damage to up to 2 other chosen characters.
Yeah, so talking about cards that demand removal, basically any Mulan shift target.
Exactly. I mean, I'm personally playing like Baboom still in my deck, just so I can deal with that at the moment, like turn 2.
Yeah.
Because turn 3 they have Julieta and they can heal the Mulan. So I'm personally playing
Baboom. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of people playing Baboom, so I think that makes sense. Just before we go too much deeper into this, I think we had a conversation at the day that the Lorecast came out, and I said Mulan was insane, and you said Sonic Warrior was insane. Should we revisit that conversation?
Let's do it. I knew you were gonna bring it up. I knew you were gonna bring it up. It's fine.
I gave you the props on the Gaston, so I'm just trying to give myself a little of that energy back.
That's all good.
We don't have to jump into it. We had a conversation. He said Sonic Warrior was the way to go.
I
said Mulan Elite Archer, and Mulan's definitely seeing a lot more love than Sonic Warrior at this point.
I guess what I got caught up on was you need the shift thing to make her good.
I don't think so.
And I don't think so anymore. That's what I got caught up on, I think.
I think it's obviously best shifted, but it's not necessarily. So
I mean, and she's not even in Ruby Amber, which is I think where she's seeing most play. It would be in Ruby Amber.
Yeah, probably.
I think the Queen combo is insane.
Oh yeah. I mean that definitely buffing her, and then
you -4 whoever she's challenging, so she takes no damage, and then give her 6 strength.
Which, if she's shifted, then she's got all the strength to take out anything.
You don't even need to shift, though.
No, you don't. But that's what I mean. If you're doing it to then play it on, to take out the things that turn. But yeah, no, Mulan is, again, one of those that demands a response that can definitely hold up a board if you can't remove it. Because if you just start questing into a shiftable Mulan and they shift on, then your whole board's gone. So,
and obviously this is where a ward counter would come into play, because the 2 other characters do have to be chosen.
We're definitely going to talk about ward in an upcoming episode, because
100%.
I think that is going to have a lot of strategic play that kind of, I think in set 1 it had a ton of importance, and then it's kind of waned since then. Mm-hmm. But we'll get back to that.
We might see Cusco make a return.
I think there's potential for that for sure. But anyways, I'm getting us off topic. Yeah, Mulan Elite Archer, insane. Obviously, a fantastic card, one of the top of the set for sure. I would probably even, give an early sneak peek of our tier list, most likely an S tier. Even though I don't know. That one's I'm getting way.
I will say this before we end it here. That 6 willpower is insane.
6 willpower is the perfect stat of okay, this is really, really annoying. Doesn't get Zeused. Really hard to put damage from Tinkerbell on it and still be able to take it out. So anyways, yeah. 6, just like Robin Hood from set 3, is insane. Okay. My next one is Under the Sea. So I'm visiting the song side of it. So again, incredible art. That one just kind of happened by happenstance, but incredible art, just like Belle from the Amethyst one that I mentioned. But yeah, it's an 8 cost uninkable song. This is one of the new sing togethers. This is one of the ones that I thought had a lot of potential up front. But again, I didn't necessarily find all of the different capabilities for it, but boy is it annoying. I haven't had this one used against me yet, but I have seen some play of games of people playing online, and it can catch you off guard.
I mean, obviously, Under the Sea, one of the few super iconic songs left.
Yeah,
and so I think this card's I think the song is pretty deserving of the card.
This is like a pseudo Sisu as well. So this,
Exactly.
again, I kind of missed talking about the actual ability here, but the song says put all opposing characters with 2 strength or less to the bottom of their player's decks in any order. So you have the ability to one-sided clear the board, and there are plenty of tools to manipulate people's strength now. There's one of my favorite cards that I didn't mention, but because it's not seeing any play, but I think it has a lot of potential, is the new song Lost in the Woods, which says all opposing characters get -2 strength until the start of your next turn. So a little bit of a Kita effect. Mm-hmm. Then you've obviously got Kita from set 3 that gives everybody -3 strength. And so, Shift Kita plus Aerial sings this and removes their entire board.
Yeah.
I think singing Into the Woods and some other form of characters to use Under the Sea also sends basically their entire board into their hand or into their decks. And so, yeah, it's just one of those that I think actually has the potential to like really swing a game. And it's not like most Emerald cards where it goes back to their hand, but it goes back to their deck. And so it's not like, sending a Lady Tremaine or sending a Madame Medusa or sending a Maleficent Monstrous Dragon or a lot of those like hard removal, really important on play abilities that you don't want to put back in their hand. Obviously, they'll have an opportunity to get back to it at some point, but they still have to then like draw into it and play it and everything. So, yeah, I think, board clear, turbo quest after that is an insane ability. And 100%. Then being in Emerald, you have the Ursula potential to guard yourself against potential removal, like Be Prepared or anything else that might come in to ruin the fun. So Under the Sea, I think that's a super fun one. I've seen a lot of lemon lime decks that have started to use this. I think that is going to be like a kind of pseudo fun one that I'm going to build. I know I talked about Bell. I don't really see like a path that I have on that one. Under the Sea, lemon lime, I think that will be a fun one that I bring to League at some point.
I agree.
Okay, back to you. Take it. We're in the back half here.
All right, so this would be my second pick, I believe. And of course, I'm doing all the staples, so I have to talk about Ice Block. In Sapphire, 1 cost, uninkable, 1 ability, Chilly Labor, Exert, chosen character gets -1 strength this turn.
Nobody's safe from Medusa anymore.
Nobody. I mean, as it was, there was a lot of majority of playable cards.
Four playable cards that were safe. Tinkerbell. A ton of people were playing Gaston Intellectual Powerhouse at the beginning of last set to avoid Medusa. That kind of tailored off at the end of the set. Tamatoa, Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. That's really all I can think of. Like, there's not many that dodged Medusa. And now, basically nothing dodges Medusa. If you're running 2 or 3 ice blocks, I think usually you run 2 ice blocks, you exert them both, you take out a Tamatoa. Like, it's insane.
I was talking to someone at last league night, and they've played other TCGs, and they were saying like every single TCG has like just the generic item that just is the most meta card. So the Ice Block is running the meta.
It very much adds to the removal. I mean, and we obviously talk about Medusa, but the new Sisu card, we'll add in a little bit of here. Not the Floodborn one, but the shift target, the Daring Visitor that takes out opposing characters with 1 strength or less. So again, if you think about like that 2 stat line and the 1 stat line, like that enables a bunch of stuff to be taken out by a 3-cost card.
And you're getting that Sisu out on turn 3.
And Brawl, you mentioned. I mean, there's so many damage or strength dependent removal items or characters that really adds into that. And so it's an insane card.
100%. I mean, that's why I think it would be remiss to not mention it.
Yeah. Okay. Fourth one from my list would be Aerial Treasure Collector. There's a very specific reason for this, and you've kind of already touched on it, but the ward factor, I think, is going to be back in play here.
I agree.
I think in a lot of Sapphire Steel decks, I think Bells are going to still be played because they're inkable and can help you ramp, but Aerial Treasure Collector is a very, very good closer to a game. And I lost a game on Wednesday to an Aerial Treasure Collector because I didn't have anything to do it. So has ward, quests for 3 by itself, but it has an ability that says while you have more items in play than each opponent, this character gets +2 lore this turn. So it's essentially a bell with ward,
which is nutty.
Yeah. So I did get got for 10 lore with a dime in one turn.
That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I think the score at the time was 5-6, and I had 5, and my opponent had 6, and then the next turn they had 16, and I had 5. So, yeah, I mean it's a nutty card. Again, just the main thought for me behind this one is the ward. I think we are going to see a resurgence of ward with the damage manipulation and the Sisus and the Medusa and Brawl. I think there's a world where ward has a much more important presence than it did the last couple sets. I know
I couldn't agree
in the
more.
first set, there was Cusco and Aurora, the Dreaming Visitor. What's the Aurora? Yeah, the Aurora that gives everybody else ward. Like, I think there's a world where a lot of that starts to come back to deal with all of the targeted removal, because it's very, very annoying.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay. Your final 5 cards consideration for the set.
All right, now this one is a personal favorite of mine. This would probably be, I know I mentioned Bell earlier as one of my favorites. This is probably second. That's probably top 2. Those top 2. This is Pegasus Gift for Hercules, the 1-drop, not the shift. So 1 cost, inkable, 1 strength, 1 willpower, quest for 1, evasive.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Okay.
There's not a ton to say. I mean, it's obviously evasive that early on is incredibly important. Does Pegasus take over your love of Pascal? We haven't talked about Pascal in forever, but for the longtime listeners of the show, Jake was like hard team Pascal chapter 1.
I mean, it's just a better Pascal, to be
It
honest.
He is. And that's why I'm asking if you're team Pegasus now.
And I love both those movies. Both
Who's cuter?
Hercules.
What card art's better? Who's cuter? Is it Pascal?
Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say Pascal on that one. I think.
Oh, see, I would go Pegasus on that.
I mean, this is baby Pegasus we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. I mean, can I say equally cute? I can't decide.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I mean, I love both those movies so much. Both Tangled and Hercules. So. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think Pegasus is just a better Pascal. I mean, of course, that was set 1. This is set 4, so I think it's kind of deserved that we get a better version of that at some point down the line.
Yep.
And of course, this has another bonus on Pascal because this is a really good shift target.
Yep.
For another, I would say, probably meta card down the line. So I mean, like you said, not much to say, but it's a common also, so you're pulling a lot of these to get a playset easily. I think there's not enough good stuff to say about it.
That's fair. Okay. I mean, it's a straightforward, really simple, but fantastic card. So, yeah. Okay, my last one. I think I'm actually calling an audible here. I initially said Ling as kind of like a dark horse good one. He has a 3/3 stat line, which gives all your hero characters +1 strength.
Please tell me you're doing the audible I wanted you to do.
Phil?
No, but I like it.
Okay, so I'm audible. I was looking through the list again, and I saw Phil on there, and I was like, man, I have to choose my boy Phil. So Phil, the no-nonsense instructor, gives all your hero characters +1 challenger, and then whenever you play a hero character, you gain 1 lore. So I think there's a world where Steel Song stays relevant because of Phil. They haven't had the legs necessarily to close out a lot of games against these new control decks. And a lot of the mid-rangey stuff has kind of been pushed out because the aggro stuff's so good on the Emerald, like Steel, Emerald, Amethyst side. And then you've got the control stuff that's so great on the Sapphire Steel and Sapphire Ruby side. And so, there's a lot of like middle ground that's been lost, I think. But I think Phil is that one tool that can help close out games. So, yeah, Phil getting a lot of that passive lore with heroes. And how many? There's like 117 hero cards or something like nutty insane.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, I think that there's not a ton of stuff to say about Phil either, except that if you're playing a hero type deck, he's going to be the central piece of that.
I'm sorry, Zach, but I would be so upset if this card wasn't mentioned. So I have one more.
One more honorable mention.
So, Flynn Rider Frenemy. I think.
Is that the Ruby one?
Two cost inkable and Ruby, 2 strength, 2 willpower, quest for 1. At the start of your turn, give a character in play with more strength than each opposing character, gain 3 lore.
This is currently keeping Ruby Amethyst alive.
Exactly.
I'll leave it there.
I think I had to mention it. If it wasn't mentioned, I think that would be a mistake.
That's a good one too. Okay, yeah.
We gave you a lot of ideas there.
Hopefully you have some new ideas on some new cards. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. I know a ton of people are talking about the 2 big decks, but a lot of these I think fit into other decks as well, and throws out some other options for you to consider. So hopefully this helps.
I think there's enough out there,
or was at least entertaining at the absolute least. But
if there's one thing we excel at, I think it's that. So.
I think so. Well, hey, I would say that, but then you let my Bruno joke just go under the radar there. So
that's fair. I'll take it.
All right, everyone. Again, thanks for supporting us. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next time. Have a good one.
All right, see you guys. Bye.